Seismitoad, Roaring Moon, Magikarp. A quick glimpse at these cards and most Pokemon collectors can immediately recognize one of Pokemon's TCG's most unique modern illustrators, Shinji Kanda. His artwork has become instantly recognizable with his usage of dense composition, dramatic lighting, and emotional intensity, making every inch of the canvas feels alive. But then I came across one card that didn't seem to follow any of those rules. And surprisingly, it wasn't Shinji Kanda's most expensive Pokemon card, the Giratina V Alt Art from Lost Origin. It was a promo card from a $24.99's Crown Zenith 10, Galarian Moltres. The more I studied this card, the more it changed how I saw Shinji Kanda's art. As I completed my Shinji Kanda's collection, one card kept catching my eye, Galarian Moltres. At first, I couldn't figure out why. Compared to cards like Magikarp, Seismitoad, and Giratina V, it felt incomplete. Visual clutter that I had come to associate with Shinji Kanda had disappeared. This was Crown Zenith or V-Star Universe, one of the Pokemon's TCG most celebrated modern arts. If there was ever a time for Kanda to create another densely detailed masterpiece, this was it. Instead, he did something completely different. The more I examined Galarian Moltres, the more I realized I wasn't asking the right questions. Instead of asking why this card looked unfinished, I started asking myself, why did Shinji Kanda choose to break his own artistic pattern? At first glance, it's hard not to notice the vast blue expanse surrounding Galarian Moltres. If you're familiar with Shinji Kanda's work, this immediately feels unusual. His illustrations are known for dense compositions, layer upon layer of texture, movement, and environmental storytelling that makes every inch of the canvas feel alive. Take cards like Seismitoad, Magikarp, or Giratina V. Your eyes don't stop on the Pokemon. They wander through the entire illustration, discovering new details every time you look. The environment isn't just a background, it's part of a story. But Galarian Moltres breaks that expectation. Instead of filling the frame with intricate scenery, Kanda chooses to introduce what artists called negative space, the visual breathing room that surrounds a subject. Negative space isn't simply empty, it's a compositional tool that defines the subject of interest, creates balance, and directs the viewer's attention. At least, that's what I thought at first. The more I study this card, the more I realize the blue surrounding Moltres isn't truly empty. It's filled with subtle texture and movement. I thought at first it was covered in smudges, but as I examined closer, I realized Shinji Kanda had intentionally painted the illusion of drifting ash. A fitting choice for a Pokemon whose sinister aura burns like molten fire. After noticing the atmosphere around Galarian Moltres, I started looking at something else. The lines. Unlike many of Shinji Kanda's illustration where your eyes naturally wander through the dense world of details, Galarian Moltres is incredibly focused. Every streak works together to guide your attention back to the Pokemon. Artists call this leading lines, a compositional technique that directs the viewer's eyes towards the subject. Instead of relying on a busy environment to hold our attention, Kanda uses subtle directional strokes to create movement and focus. What's fascinating is that these lines almost replace the environment itself. There are no towering ruins, crashing waves, or tangled forests competing for your attention. The streaks become the composition, gently pulling your eyes back to Moltres every time they begin to drift. Whether these lines represent the sun's radiation, currents of energy, or simply a clever compositional choice, the result is the same. Your attention never leaves Moltres. It's a completely different way of controlling the viewer's eyes, and proof that Shinji Kanda didn't abandon his style, he simply found a new way to achieve the same goal. After looking at the atmosphere and the guiding lines, I noticed one final detail that completely changed how I view this card. Galarian Moltres doesn't feel like a scene, it feels like a portrait. Most of Shinji Kanda's illustration invites us into the world. Cards like Oricorio, Kecleon, and Roaring Moon encourage our eyes to wander through the environment, rewarding us with new details every time we look. The Pokemon is part of a much larger story unfolding around it. But Galarian Moltres does the opposite. The composition is balanced. The wings nearly span to the width of the card. The tail nearly reaches to the top. The aura surrounding the bird on all sides, almost forming a frame around the object. Instead of exploring the world around Moltres, Shinji Kanda is asking us to simply look at Moltres. Portrait artists and photographers often simplify backgrounds so our attention stays on the subject's posture and presence. Shinji Kanda seems to achieve that same effect here. Rather than building an elaborate environment, he strips everything back so that the bird itself becomes the experience. At first, I thought Galarian Moltres was missing the immersive world that defines so many of Shinji Kanda's illustrations, but now I realize that wasn't his goal. Shinji Kanda isn't inviting us into the world, but rather he is demanding us to stand face to face with the most intimidating Pokemon Shinji Kanda has ever illustrated. And that is how this one card completely changed how I see Shinji Kanda.